Alright, welcome back class. Again, this is the third part of section 5.4, pretty long section. Refresher, we're just simply factoring and solving polynomials, either by grouping, box method, GCF, or cubic formulas. Okay, it's one of those four. It has to be one of those four. Okay? Just go down the list, do the process of elimination. Okay, it's always going to be one of those. Alright, so let's continue. This is just more practice. Specifically with grouping, I'm going to show you how to solve one of them by grouping or box method. Okay, I'm going to show you both ways. You decide how you want to solve it. Okay, on the quiz or on the test, you either choose grouping or you choose box method. Both of them work. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and begin with number 5. This is called grouping. Alright, so if you remember what grouping was we order in groups of 2, pairs. Okay? So I'm going to put parentheses here. Here. Okay. Alright, so what do these two have in common? Okay? If you look at it, they don't have any number in common, they have an x in common. How many x's? Look at the smallest one. So it's x squared. X squared times what gives you x cubed? That's x. X squared times what gives you 2x squared? That's 2. Okay. And if you were to multiply this back, you should get this. Okay? You're not inventing math. Okay? You don't have that power yet. Not even Mr. Mira has that power yet. Okay. Alright, so negative x minus 2. So what do they have in common? Remember, your goal for grouping is trying to get a positive x plus 2. So since they're both negative, I'm going to take out a negative. And if you take out a negative, you're left with x plus 2. Okay? And I know it seems that it's always going to be this easy, where it works on the first try. Don't get me wrong, it's not always that easy, guys. You'll see some examples on homework where it's even harder than that. The first try doesn't work, so you have to do something else. Okay? Or if that doesn't work, I'll show you the box method, which works, I want to say 99% of the time. Okay? I like box method. I prefer box method over grouping, but it's your choice. Alright, so they have x plus 2 in common. Okay, so I'm going to factor it out. I'm going to take it out. Okay? So if you take something out, you don't have to take both of them out. You're just taking one of them out. So we're left with x plus 2. Put a bracket around it. Okay, I'm going to cancel it out. So you see that I took both of them out. So they're both gone. What's left over? X squared minus 1. Alright, but if you look back at the directions, okay, it says factor completely, okay? So over here, we're not actually done, okay? So let's look at it. We can't do anything with x plus 2, okay? But x squared plus 1, okay? This looks like one of those patterns that you should recognize, okay? It's a square and 1, so it has a first term and a last term, so you could actually do box method. I'm going to go ahead and show box method very quick. After this, I'm not going to do box method. Okay, we've done it enough where you've had enough practice. You should know it already, like tying your shoe. Okay, all right. So we need the first term and the last term. Okay. But you say, wait, Mr. Mira, we need a middle term. Yes, that is correct. We need a middle term. But if nothing's there, when we cross multiply and check, okay, your middle term is nothing. It's 0. Okay? So your goal is trying to get 0. Okay? Alright, so how do you get x squared? Think about it. X times x. How many ways can you get negative 1? There's only one way. Negative 1 times positive 1. Alright? Of course, there's not that in one way, but okay, you could do square root. Well, you can't really do square root of negative 1 because that's imaginary number. So just, it's one way. Negative 1 times 1. 1 times 1x is 1x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. 1 minus 1 is 0. So we found our factors. Okay? All right. The easiest way to remember, okay? The easiest way to remember is when you get down here and you get a square, okay? You think about it, okay? If this is a perfect square, which 1 is a perfect square, and if you forgot perfect squares are 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 3 is 9, so 9 is a perfect square. 4 times 4 is 16, 16 is a perfect square. 5 times 5 is 25, so if you don't get the pattern, just multiply the same number, whatever the result is, that is a perfect square, okay? So when you get over here, how do you know whether to continue or not? I'll tell you the trick. If you get a square and it's positive, you're done, okay? You can't go further. Because how do you get a positive number? You need 2 positive numbers. When you do the box method, you need 2 positive numbers. But if you add 2 positive numbers, you're not going to get 0. Our goal is trying to get 0, okay? If this is not a perfect square, let's say for example this was a -3, you're done. Because there is no number out there when you multiply it, the same number twice gives you 3. There is, but it's not a nice number, okay? So we're going to stop it there, okay? All right, so what's my answer? My answer is x plus 2 times x minus 1 times x plus 1. Okay. And how do I know I'm done? Because I have 1 term here, 2 terms here, 3 terms. There's 3 x's, power of 3. Okay. So this method is called grouping. Again, I don't like this because there's too many, you have to do grouping and then you have to do box method. Whereas I'm going to show you, if you do box method, all you have to do is just box method and you get your answer directly, one time. Okay. All right. So again, let me go ahead and show you number 5. I'm going to do it box method. Same example, guys. Okay. Alright, so again, we're going to do the box method. Go ahead and create yourself a box. Remember, you have to cross multiply. And this is how we check. What are we checking for? Okay, check. Now this time, we're not going to cancel anything now. Okay, before we actually cancel the number or we combine like terms, this time we're only going to simply get what's in the middle. This is our goal. Positive 2x minus x. This is our goal. Okay? This is what I want. Okay? I want 2x squared minus x. Okay? Because remember, box method only works if you have a first term and a last term. So bring it down. Alright, let's review. Our factors or our answers go this way. These are known as factors, also known as your answers. Okay. Also known as your roots, zeros, they all mean the same thing. Okay. All right. How many ways can you get x cubed? Well, if you think about it, we could get x squared times x, negative x squared times negative x, but again, don't worry about, I'm going to tell you a rule of thumb. Rule of thumb just means that every time you have a problem like this, you usually want the x to be positive. So leave the negative for the last term. Okay. All right. So x cubed, we get x squared times x. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Okay. And again, I'm just reviewing exponents. That was the importance of section 5.1. Okay. Properties of exponents. All right. How many ways can I get negative 2? Okay. Look at the beauty, guys. It's either 1 times negative 2, okay, or negative 1 times 2. Okay? This is the beauty. Okay? They already give you your answers. Okay? 2 has to be positive. And when you cross multiply, it has to be with the x squared. So 2 has to go here. Okay? There's no other way around it, because you want 2x squared. 2x squared is across from it. You want negative x, therefore negative 1 has to be up there. Okay? It's that easy, guys. They actually give you your answers. Whereas if you do grouping, okay, you actually have to do a little bit more work, okay? That's why I prefer box method, okay, over grouping, okay? All right, so we're done. What's my answer? Well, let's go ahead and write it out. X squared minus 1, x squared minus 1. You remember, your answers always go horizontally. This is called horizontally, this is called vertically. We want horizontal, not cross multiplication. Cross multiplication is only to check, so don't get that confused. X plus 2. Okay. All right, again, this is the same problem as number 5, okay? The one over here. So, I got x squared minus 1. I know what this answer is. I'm not going to do the same work. I know that x minus 1, x plus 1. So I'm simply going to write my answer over here. Okay. So let me go ahead and erase this. X squared minus 1 turns into x plus 1, x minus 1, and then x plus 2 comes down. Okay. If you notice, we get the exact same answer as grouping. And we did it 2 different methods. Okay. So again, take your pick, guys. You either do grouping or box method. Both of them work. Personally, I like box method. I'm not saying that grouping is bad. I'm just saying sometimes, you know, box method does work nicely because your answers are given to you, okay? So again, I just proved to you that, you know, I didn't actually prove to you, okay, because you have to do an actual proof, but I just showed you that the box method works with 4 terms, 3 terms, and actually works with 2 terms, okay? All right, let's continue. Hopefully you got this down. All right, so you have 3 more examples here, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and let you work those out, okay? If you have any questions, that's what I'm looking forward to your questions tomorrow in class. Okay? All right, let's continue. We haven't really solved polynomials, okay? But now we're going to get into the solving part. I lied. We're still going to factor. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do number. Let's go ahead and do number 9. Alright, so again, you want to go down the list. Box method, we cannot do it because it doesn't have a last term. GCF though, they definitely have something in common. 3, 18, 24. 3 goes into all of them, so let's take out a 3. X's, you want to look at the smallest x's. The smallest one is x squared. Okay. Alright, what's left over? If you took out a 3, so 3's gone, x squared, so 8 minus 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Remember, you're adding and subtracting when you're multiplying or dividing with the same base. 3 times 6, excuse me, equals 18. X squared, subtracted from 5 gives you 3. Okay. And if you take out x squared away from x squared, it's gone, and you're left with 3 times 1 gives you 24. That's positive 8. All right, so now I have a first term and I have a last term. So again, I could use box method. That's why I like box method so much. Okay. All right, so what do we want to check? We want to check that we have to get 6x cubed. Okay. Remember, our answers go this way. These are your factors. Okay. So, how do we get x to the 6? Sorry, let's bring it down. And positive 8. X to the 6 is x cubed, okay, and x cubed. Okay. Yes, you could do x to the 4th and x squared, but again, if you look at the middle, we're looking for x cubed. Okay. They have to be the same. All right, how do we get 8? Positive 8. Whereas we multiply or add them gives me 6. So 1 times 8. We don't have to use a negative because they're both positive, so we're going to take out the negatives for now. Go in order, 2 times 4. 3 doesn't go into 8, 4 goes into 8, so you're done. So the answer is positive 2, positive 4, cross multiply, 4x cubed plus 2x cubed gives me 6x cubed. So we're done, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and write my answer on the screen. We get 3x squared, okay? That came from here, and this right here are your answers. X cubed plus 2, x cubed plus 4, okay? And we're done, okay? The reason we cannot use cubic formulas, because there is no number out there when we multiply it 3 times gives you 2, and there is no number out there when we multiply it 3 times gives you 4, okay? All right, we'll continue on the next video. See you guys tomorrow. Mr. Mira, out.